It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pilch.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Boston Pride's General Manager, Karilyn Pilch. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
Yeah, so it was, I had been working at the college level for a really long time, and it was something that I really enjoyed and was passionate about. And I don't even know that I ever knew right away that I wanted to eventually work in professional sports. But I ended up getting my MBA when I was at BU, my last couple years there, and it was one of those things where this opportunity had opened with the Pride, and it became sort of this perfect crossover between hockey and business, which is what I'd been doing, with my time at BU as well. So, yeah, I don't want to say I fell into it, but the opportunity presented itself at the perfect time.
What were some spots that landed you the way to become the Boston Pride's general manager?
So I came up through, like I said, college hockey and the coaching ranks a little bit first, and got my first few opportunities through coaching, and then obviously in, hockey operations, and honestly just networking and having conversations with people. And Haley Moore was working for the league at the time when I was hired as the general manager, and it was before our private ownership and all of that went through. And her and I had like become friends through recruiting when she was at Harvard, and it was one of those things that I heard the position was open, and I just kind of wanted to talk to her about it. So we chatted, and so it's funny that here's someone that I hadn't really connected with in a couple of years that you see on the recruiting trail, now being in this position and able to offer a job. So yeah, so I think there's many paths there, and I obviously took more of the hockey route, but there's people that have taken the business route and come in and done some pretty cool things marketing wise. And the general manager role is can do so much, between being able to negotiate and obviously recruit talent and scout talent. So I think it's you have to come from a background where you get exposed to a lot of things, I think.
What was your time like at St. Augustine College as the interim head coach?
Yeah, so St Anselm College, yeah, so that's a very small school, 1,900 students. I went to Boston University, which I mean, some days it felt like there were 1,900 people in one of my classes. So, very different experience coaching than I had playing. But that being said, it was awesome. It was a very, like I said, different community. It was, a very close campus, but everyone on campus knew each other. So that was kind of a different environment for me, and I think that was, good for the right fit of player over there. And I was exposed to so much as an assistant coach, and had a great mentor over there in Kirsten Matthews. She's still one of my very good friends. But she taught me so much, and so much about things I use every day now in this position. A lot of recruiting, and then a lot of the logistical stuff that we still do, working through travel and what happens when you're on the road and there's a snowstorm and, and things like that. So again, exposed to a lot there, and I think my favorite takeaway from that was the recruiting and scouting process. I very much enjoyed that there.
What was it like being the director of hockey operations for the Boston University?
So that was my first time sort of stepping out of the coaching role, and I had been at St. A's for 7 years before I left. And I had thought for sure I wanted to be a coach, and then I also knew I wanted to get my master's degree, and then the hockey operations position opened at BU, and I just was first of all, I loved my experience at BU. I would to go back and work for my head coach was just an opportunity I wasn't going to pass up in any way, shape, or form. He's an amazing person as well. I've been so fortunate to play and work for awesome people. But yeah, so the position opened, and it looked like a crossover between, like I said, the hockey world and some of the more business sides of the operation. And I went in and did a ton of video, learned to use Exos, which is one of like the bigger technology type video software. Lost my word there, software, which was super cool. And then helped scheduling and going on the league conference calls. That was the first time I kind of jumped into what it was like to be part of the league. And Hockey East is one of the premier leagues in women's hockey, so that was a really cool experience. I did a bunch with that, and then again, yeah, but booking travel, doing players class schedules, and it's like, again, a little bit of everything there.
What was it like transitioning from working in college to now working in professional hockey with the Boston Pride as their general manager?
So that was a really fun transition. I feel like I went from a place where I had to kind of have like my finger on everyone constantly. Where are they? What are they doing? To getting this awesome, mature group of people. And I don't think I was quite prepared for that. I didn't realize I was going to step into a situation where, these are professional players, they're professional adults, and, they're responsible for themselves. And, you don't have to worry about telling them like, to be early to the rink and schedule everything by the minute. So I think that was a really cool eye-opening experience that I don't actually think I was prepared for. And just the caliber of athlete that we have, and bringing this pool of players together and seeing even another layer of growth for them is been awesome.
What are some roles and responsibilities you have as the general manager?
So I would say probably, it comes in waves with the season. So right now is, signing for next year. So it's all contracts, negotiations, and signing players, recruiting players, but talking about the pipeline and the pool, and not only what we see for this year, but what does the future look like? And it's a really, really cool part of the job. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. And then, as we roll closer to the season, we end up more so in, things like ordering equipment and outfitting players and managing our, equipment manager and coaching staff and hiring for those positions. And then obviously you roll into season, which is the easy part, I guess. You try to plan so much over the summer that when you get to the season, it's just on autopilot. So but going to practices and all that, like those are the fun parts and the interactive parts where you actually get to see everyone, and then managing media and things like that. So that's another really fun part of the job. I like, working with our local media, national media, and all of that. It's definitely fun and great to get to know a lot of people.
When it comes to the signing part of being a general manager, what goes into signing?
So it depends. Some conversations are super easy. It's a player is going to return, whatever. Those ones can just flow. And then there's some that are more challenging. People go back and forth about what their salary should be, what we think it should be. Same with new players. New players have a lot of questions. For a lot of them, it's their first time dealing with a professional sport and being compensated for it, and the contract piece, and what's our revenue sharing and how does that work. So it's a lot of education, and I think it's the fun part of it is that at the end you can actually see the fruits of all your labor, and these players are having an amazing experience, and it's a very rewarding piece of the position.
What is it like? I know that in the NWHL, their contracts are worth 1 year, but do you foresee them being longer, like a 5-year contract?
I could see that. I think before they would, explore anything like 5, they'd probably go 2. Like I could see that coming up. As the salaries are a little bit higher and people can rely on that a little bit more, I think it's easier to think about signing a multi-year contract. But right now, with the amazing growth that the league has had and how the salary cap is hopefully going up, up, up every year, I think it's one of those things that right now, 1 year still sort of does make sense until they reach some sort of plateau of, okay, we could see this being the salary cap for the next 3 years, something like that, and then maybe offer a 2 or 3 year contract.
What is a typical game day like for a general manager?
So game day at home versus on the road is usually a little bit different. At home, you're managing your game day staff and working with them, making sure the visiting team is all set when they get there, that they have, accommodations and meals for after. So it's more of a hospitality side of things. And then working with the coaching staff, and you get to be that eye in the sky watching the game, so that's kind of a fun part, still attached to the coaching a little bit, and constantly evaluating the players and how they're playing, how the team is doing. But yeah, so on the road, it's pretty much get there again, make sure everything is set up for the players, that we're in the right spots, all that good stuff, making sure everything protocol wise is on time, and then enjoying the game and having that conversation with the coaching staff.
What are some of the cultures that you have built and traditions you have built for Boston Pride?
So I think we have an unbelievably selfless culture in Boston, and I think that's something that is really, really important to us. Paul and I, when we were building our team, have constantly talked about finding the right people first, and then the best players. So it's been a really, really great experience. The people in our locker room are, they're some of the best people I've ever crossed paths with in this industry, and they work so incredibly hard. And they want to win and be successful for the people to the left and right of them, and oftentimes even take themselves out of seeing that success, which is just to find that, to build that, and have it be like the true heartbeat of the team is unbelievable. And you look at someone like Kaleigh Fratkin, who you spoke to last week, and she's one of our captains, and Jillian Dempsey, and that culture comes from the top. So yes, we put the right people in the room, but our leadership at the team level is also second to none. And it's, again, they're just, to be able to have that culture for going on 2 seasons now, and hopefully many more, it is a pretty awesome feeling.
Who are some of your top scorers with the Boston Pride?
Our top scorers. So yes, we have Jillian Dempsey, McKenna Brand, Christina Butinia. This season I think was interesting with the way, the number of games we played, how it went, all that good stuff. And but I think for, the back to next season, like those will probably, you would think they'll be the top of the league again. I think we score a lot of points in Boston. We spread it out across the team pretty well. We have a ton of depth, and it's been exciting to watch.
Who are some notable people that somebody would know if you said Boston Pride?
Well, Jillian Dempsey, first and foremost. I mean, she is the Boston Pride. She's been here since season 1. She's got 2 Isobel Cups. She's from Winthrop. She is through and through, heart and soul, Boston Pride, that's for sure.
What is the process like on draft night, drafting players to become Boston Pride?
So drafting is a whole nother ball game of that contract piece and negotiation, and it's super exciting. You have to plan for the unexpected and hope you get what you want, and work through all the trades and things like that leading up to it. But again, it's a competitive, like much like the game itself, very competitive night. You've got to do your homework, you need to be prepared. And then it's sort of anything goes at that point, which is fun. We're all in this industry because we like competition. So the draft is no different.
Of course, from a GM standpoint, what is it like when COVID happened and you weren't really able, some teams weren't playing, some players opted out? What was that like to watch that and know that, okay, obviously I can't very well draft this player because I don't know maybe what they have to offer versus this player that played?
Yeah, I mean, COVID just puts a wrinkle in everything, right? Like the whole world had something change for them through COVID, and that's one of them. And I think being fluid and being flexible, I think from a scouting standpoint, watching those games on TV and being prepared and having a lot of conversations about who's graduating, can they go? And thankfully with our team this year, all of our players opted in and we were able to take everyone to the bubble. So we were fortunate in that regard, and then obviously very fortunate that we were able to finish the games after the pause in our season. So just it's been something that everyone has had to deal with, and I think the team and the league rallied around it pretty well.
Can you talk about, of course, playing in Lake Placid and obviously winning the Isobel Cup?
Yeah, so Lake Placid was it was a great setup, accommodations wise and the restricted environment. It had so much potential to be the perfect story, and we did everything that we could to keep things rolling up there. And along comes COVID, and it is what it is. I kind of look at it as just something that we hoped wouldn't happen, planned to not happen, and it did. And then as soon as we paused the season, it was how do we get it done? I don't think for 1 second anyone was willing to accept that we weren't going to play. So I actually, to have our team come back, get back on the ice and play. And then obviously we had a pretty commanding victory in that first playoff game there. And then, a very close game with a very, very good team in Minnesota. It was just the culmination of truthfully 2 years of work and effort for most of these players. I mean, we had a handful of rookies who, I mean, they knew what that team had lost the prior year too. So even though they weren't here, they were very much a part of that, and great contributions top to bottom from our goaltenders on out. We couldn't have asked for a better performance that weekend. And we struggled in the bubble in Lake Placid, and I'm so glad that things came together at the end. And to win an Isobel Cup is all I could have hoped for all of them, for everything they put into this season.
What was it like to play the championship game in home and to hoist the Isobel Cup up in your home arena?
It was awesome, and something I still struggle to find the words to describe. To say I'm proud of our team is as an understatement as I could possibly make. Again, I talked about the culture and what this meant for these players, for each other, and to see them have that success and for them to have that moment, and to see Jillian give that cup immediately to Kaleigh, there's just so many little snapshots of that day and night, and honestly the whole weekend, that I'll never forget. And indescribable is the only way to really put it.
What was it like during the parade?
So unfortunately, because of COVID, we weren't able to have a full parade. But we did have the mayor read a proclamation and named it was Boston Pride Day in the city of Boston, which was really cool. She came in and did our puck drop for our final game, and I think maybe she's our good luck charm now. I don't know, but hoping to repeat again next year and queue up a few duck boats.
Of course, as you look to prepare for next year, knowing that you're Isobel Cups, how important is it to have that chip on your shoulder, knowing that you were the Isobel Cups previous year?
I think it's a mentality of the work and the effort that went into a season, and to carry that on and to know that you're going to carry a target because you are the defending champs, and that's always who everyone wants to beat. So I think just balancing the confidence with understanding that teams are going to be gunning for you is going to be important. And I think our team will be as motivated as ever. I don't think there's any season where you have to try and motivate a team to win an Isobel Cup. And I think the taste of it, I think the celebration piece of it, our team is going to want to go back here and put up another cup.
Can you talk about, of course, what it was like to have the games broadcast on ESPN, and where can my listeners find other games at?
Yeah, so that, the games were on NBC Sports Network. So, and that was huge for women's hockey. And the fact that the game was so exciting and so close, and those last 5 minutes of a championship hockey game, a 5-minute major, like the whole thing was just wild. And to showcase our team, our league, our product like that was, all we could have hoped for. And I'm so thankful to our sponsors and Discover and Dick's Sporting Goods to be able to get us out on that network was absolutely huge.
Do you foresee in the future having more games on NBC and ESPN and national TV?
I think so. I think that's the plan, and I think that helps drive growth and exposure. And I think that's something that obviously, the league and women's hockey needs to continue to do to be successful for sure.
What are some of your future plans as general manager for the Boston Pride?
I mean, I think we are always going to continue to look to grow, and of course, to keep winning Isobel Cups, and being cognizant of what our player experience is like, and finding ways to improve that. Taking feedback, listening, and making this team and organization better every single day.
What are some things that you didn't know before you became a general manager that you know now?
That is a good question. I think in any situation, I see myself as a sponge. So I like to listen. I like to, really take in experiences and learn from them, and either repeat things that work or make sure you do not repeat things that don't work. So there's a ton I didn't know. And I mean, I talked about not being quite prepared for how different the athletes were going to be as adults versus college students. It's been very eye-opening, and of course the work and the experiences I've had prepared me to be successful in this role. But yeah, I mean, I've learned so much.
What advice would you give somebody looking to become a general manager on the professional sports side?
I think you need to put in the effort and put in the grind and use your network. I think that's something that a lot of people are, sort of afraid to pick up the phone and call someone that they either worked for in the past that might know someone who knows someone. And, I think it's one of those things that people don't realize how well connected people are. And we have LinkedIn and things like that, which, does help connect people. But I think, pick up the phone, call people, ask questions, open doors. Like, I always think, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Someone says, no, I don't want to take your phone call. Well, okay, I'll just call someone else instead.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Boston Pride?
So my social handles on Twitter and Instagram are just at Karilyn Pilch, my first and last name. And the Boston Pride is just at the Boston Pride for both Twitter and Instagram. We also have a Facebook page as well.
Thank you again, Karilyn Pilch, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the general manager for the Boston Pride.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Karilyn, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks so much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.